Well, what a week it's been in New Zealand. We've got parties starting to announce their allegiances. I saw this post this morning from RNZ where they were like, who is Labour going to run with? Who are they going to announce as potential coalition partners? And it is a real question, but I opened up the comments, and one of the top comments was, what a rubbish article. Why aren't you asking that of National or NZ First or ACT? Like, this is just one-sided journalism. I'm like, well, no, because we know who National, NZ First and ACT will partner with, and we know who they won't. They've been very clear about that. NZ First just came out this week and was like, we're definitely not working with the Greens or Te Pāti Māori. So obviously you have to ask Hipkins who you're going to work with.
Well, and Labour are now polling 2-3% ahead of National. So
are they?
Yeah.
I think I saw that yesterday, actually. So who are likely partners, or who are even potential partners? Because ACT's not going to go with them.
No, right.
NZ First not going to go with them, which leaves one option.
What, National?
And I
National
told
would
you,
do it. National would not do it.
The Grand Coalition is
They
coming.
won't do it.
Well, because National will have nothing to gain, and neither does Labour.
They do.
Well, I think Labour has much to gain.
What, from going with National?
Well, in terms of you're in cabinet suddenly.
Yeah, I know, but it's not only about that.
In the long term, with your voter base.
For minor parties, it's about can we get a seat in cabinet.
Okay,
right?
picture this. Luxon, who, for better or for...
Sorry.
Luxon, I don't know why you hate it so much. It's so good. Luxon, for better or for worse, has done some good stuff, has maybe not done as much as what people wanted him to do economically. I don't think you can call his government a bad government objectively. I think it's a mixed bag. They've got some really good results, but he's not the type of guy who appreciates being undermined. And when your coalition partners...
Or demoted.
And when your coalition partners are outperforming you all the time or getting more coverage than you, because I would argue that David and Winston have far outperformed Luxon, and that actually ACT and NZ First presence there has been a huge contributor to the success that Nationals had.
Yep.
Outside of the likes of Bishop and Simeon doing some pretty incredible work, and Erica, to be fair. How then do we not know that Luxon isn't going to get bitter about that and be like, you know what? Chippy's never going to outshine me. I'm just going to bring him in.
Yeah, I'm not... I agree with you on the question of being demoted, and when you're a National or Labour and you've been, the main parties for the past century, then you're not looking at being relegated to minor party status, right? So you're going to think it like you're a top dog.
Yeah.
And that's true of Hipkins because he's been Prime Minister, and so is Luxon now.
Yeah.
So that as leaders, they're also not going to be thinking about anything at all that would lessen their status or their stature.
Yeah.
But I think that with the coalition, it's interesting. ACT, in terms of the polling, are just holding pretty steady. They're not really any higher than they were when they first got in.
I reckon New Zealand
quite surprised by that.
New Zealand First has, but see, the New Zealand First as a party have two things going for them. One is the cult of personality around Winston, and I say cult of personality not in a disparaging sense, but he's so much the face of that
As
party.
a technical
Shane
sense,
Jones aside, Winston Peters has been that party, and so I think that what we are seeing with New Zealand First is two things. I think it's the success of Winston Peters as Foreign Minister.
Yeah.
He's seen as a steady, wise, experienced hand, even by people who ordinarily will love to have a go at him. They are also grudgingly conceding quite openly now that he has been the right set of hands at the steering wheel when it comes to dealing with our foreign affairs. And given all the trade instability as well, right? Foreign affairs and trade, handling that the way that Winston Peters has means that there's a steady hand. I would say that I don't think is necessarily speaking to. I think what it says is those who've left National, and that's a few percent, have gone to New Zealand First. I think ACT has held steady, and I think they've got the same kind of people behind them as they did when they first got in, 2 years ago.
I think ACT will pick up more support if they come out not opposing the free trade agreement with India, but asking for stronger, or asking for a better deal for New Zealand. Yep. You know what I mean? Because they're not opposed to the free trade agreement at all. But I think that they should play a tactical move there and be like, oh, we should get some more out of it for New Zealand, especially for the dairy industry.
Yeah.
But who knows? What do you think, considering
I don't think it's going to be a close election at all. There's all this talk in the media, this is going to be a close election. I don't think that at all. And I'm not particularly sold by the polls.
No, yeah.
people can say that they don't like the current government, but I don't think it's fair to say that they've been ineffective. You can say what they've done is bad, but they've done a lot.
Even in spite of inflation coming back up a little?
3.1%. Yeah, I think that's a healthy sign that the government's growing, that the economy's growing. But I don't think you can say they've been ineffective. You can say they've used urgency too much to pass too many laws. Like, they've been effective, I think, in terms of doing what they said they were going to do. And I don't think there is at all an appropriate alternative on the other side of the aisle. And I think that's actually a bad thing, because you want competition in the economy, but also you want competition within politics, because it makes the other guy. But to the extent that these guys aren't pushing the right will just continue to grow. I think, this is my prediction, that in the first term, the coalition government's being quite unified. Like, I don't think there's been significant disunity amongst them.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think much of that is because...
right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
There's going to be some disagreements, but
Always.
nothing that shatters a coalition.
Absolutely.
We haven't
But
seen that.
I think much of that is because they all just agreed on how big of a mess they had to deal with.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was like crime, economic stuff, health. Everyone agrees on that. Everyone with sensibility. But I think by the time we reach the third term and all of that stuff is generally dealt with, and if it is dealt with, then the more fringe ideas that they all have will come into discussion.
Well,
They're starting to differentiate a little bit now as
Even
well,
now, that's
by
right.
openly disagreeing with certain people's positions
right.
and takes. Is everything dealt with, though? Because I would say in a large degree, crime is way better. Like, ram raids are down, youth offending's down. There's been some significant improvements there. Interest rates are down, economically, things haven't shifted that much. Like, groceries are still expensive, fuel's still kind of expensive, but is it their second term that they address all of that,
Yeah, I think the first term has been remedial, and I think the second term, if they get it, will be legacy, right?
Yeah.
It's about how do they
Education's better.
Education's
Education's improved. Health, the budget that they put forward, and sort of the disestablishment of the different DHBs that they're sort of working towards, and the Dunedin Hospital, and all these things. It's quite a lot of success on the board.
And you might say, it was an easy job because the other lot just were so ideologically driven, and just destroyed stuff that was like it's not hard to do the basics.
Well, it's like that,
you know what I mean?
That quote that I said to you the other day that I heard from Thomas Sowell, that we're in an era where people trade what works for what feels good, and that's what the last government did a lot. It's like everything just has to feel good. It has to, the vibe has to be there. If we can get people across the board emotionally, then they'll suppress their rational, logical thinking for long enough that they don't realize they're in a hole.
Well, and they were for most of that time they were riding a massive economic wave in terms of the real estate market.
That's right. Yeah.
We certainly have definitely recovered from the recession of 2008, right? And so I think they capitalized on good times, and maybe they made some decisions in some areas that they could afford to make because there was the revenue, the tax revenue to do so. But COVID's completely changed the game, and I think that's true for so many countries.
I think you said it. Ultimately, had National been in power when COVID was a thing, they would have done the exact same thing in that situation. If they had been a majority government.
They would have propped up not just small businesses, they would have propped up, companies, corporates,
Like without, I don't know, potentially ACT would have been a little bit more like pumping the brakes with NZ First, but
I don't know that New Zealand First would have.
You reckon they would have been all about?
No, because they're more centrist than people tend to give them credit for. So they get kind of dubbed populist all the time, but that's actually ignoring the fact that they've always been quite centrist.
Who could even fill Winston's shoes as foreign minister after this? Because look at who we had before with Mahuta, who just made us look like an idiot on the world stage everywhere she went. Like,
true.
After Winston, that's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, I mean, you say that she made us look like an idiot. I think a lot of people in New Zealand cringed at what she did, but I actually don't think that a lot of countries that we trade with, for instance, were that fast. Things carried on. There weren't major decisions being made. You see, it was just kind of business as usual. Yeah. And I think on foreign affairs, a lot of other countries quite liked the Labour Party's approach. Because they were all about multilateral, agreements and the UN and ratifying everything that the UN did. So I don't think that we looked particularly bad in the eyes of other countries. I think we just looked like everybody else. And they look, to be honest with you, they like the multicultural aspect.
Yeah, they would have loved it.
But that's the thing, right?
Like they love it's a progressive thing and they love it.
I love multiculture. Like seriously, I think
Yeah,
a lot of
I don't
Kiwis
think-
love
You're
multiculture.
always singing waiata. You're always doing haka when we come to your door.
My son does kapahaki, when I watch them.
Yeah,
That's
same,
good.
yeah.
No, but like, I have no issue with multiculture. I think a lot of people would try to portray conservative.
Are you
people
conservative?
as- yeah. Do you not know that? I'm circumcised.
Are you actually?
Did I tell you when I was in America? Straight up, when I was in
TMI,
America.
TMI, okay.
No, when I was in America, these two Jewish guys were like,
Oh no.
Deb was with me. So we're in America. We're at this pedestrian crossing. These two Jewish guys were like, I don't want to say evangelizing, but they're definitely like
Yeah.
trying to get people on board with Judaism and whatever. I was like, I didn't even know you could convert to be.
Yeah.
I thought you had to be born through your mother, like you had to be through your mother's lineage. So I said to them, like, "Oh, how do I join up?" And Deb was like, "Oh my gosh, why are you doing?" I always do this to people. It's like, "Oh, how do I join up?" And then they like look me up and down. They're like, "Oh, nah, like, don't worry about it."
Were they Hasidic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I
What
was
does
like,
that
no, how do I join up? And they're like, oh, no, like you can't. And I was like,
Why?
why? I'm circumcised. And they were like, oh.
A lot of Muslims are circumcised too.
A lot of people are circumcised. A lot of Samoans. Like, this is my point. It's like, bro, in Samoa, it's ruthless. My cousins had to get it done on the islands and it was bad.
It's very
Good.
difficult to
That's very
convert
good.
to Judaism.
Yeah. No, but Deb was like, what do you always do? I always like all the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Church of God people always like to have a yarn with them,
How do I join?
give them a little bit of a run around.
Why didn't they let you join?
Because I'm not Jewish. Because I'm not.
What the hell are they doing out there?
No, that's the thing. I couldn't remember what their campaign
Oh,
for.
okay, right.
It
They
was
were
like
just-
it was like street
You
evangelism.
weren't target audience.
They weren't recruiting.
Yeah.
I think they were hoping to see some of their brethren and form it.
I'll bring some Jewish people back into the fold.
Yeah, bring them
probably.
back in.
All right.
Bring
Make
them back in,
Get them religious again.
My brother, you've left. Come back. Anyway, we got off topic there.
Yeah.
sorry.
You got us off topic, but that's okay.
In a way, though, the election is a little bit like a circumcision.
Tell me more. I like
No,
that.
Painful?
Don't tell me.
It's painful.
No,
Yeah.
You got to cut off the extra stuff you don't
You
want.
got to cut off the waste,
Yeah, cut off the waste.
and the recovery is always longer than expected.
Yep. But at the end, it looks nice.
Well, you took that too far. You took that
Okay.
too far.
Guys, come
I
on.
really hope we cut this part.
Oh, that's
Is that
what
a
she
pun?
said. That's what the doctor said.
Pun unintended, but anyway.
Anyway, so I think it's pretty settled. Not a close election. I think the economy is still a big issue. Immigration, sort of a secondary issue.
Economy's going to. Economy that
Is the issue.
The issue, and it often is in elections, but I think still very much so.
Economy, education, I would say, yeah. Immigration, I would say.
Health.
Health. Yeah,
Health
but
is always
I
there, though.
swear that health doesn't get as much coverage as what it should, in a sense.
Or used to.
But used to, yeah. Like, now that since Simeon took over, like there's been some controversies here and there in
management
Well,
of
I think
health.
emergency departments, are
Emergency
still getting,
services.
front page. Yeah, emergency service and emergency departments. Like, Wellington just had a couple of really crazy nights where there was like 10 code reds or something.
really.
In the space of one night shift. So, there's stuff like that going on, and I think a lot of people are having first-hand experience of that now. You go to Middlemore, you go down to Wellington, or whatever, and you're seeing this in the staff that you talk to who work in these places. I know some, they are tearing their hair out. They're like, a lot of them are really seriously contemplating moving to Aussie and elsewhere. So
Is it
we
just
can't
a pay thing?
We just can't afford it. It's not just to pay.
It's a staffing
If
thing.
it was pay but better working conditions, just less stress, because it's a hugely stressful, very, very pressured environment, life and death, of course. So, and everything riding on it. Like, you can lose your registration, you can get in massive trouble if you even make one little slip up. So that's a huge, a lot of pressure to put on people, and given the pay that they're getting.
What are they on? Because I remember
I
when
mean-
the nurses were striking, there's some talk about a senior nurses on 120, and obviously that's not every nurse.
Oh no, most nurses are under 100,000,
Okay,
and they work.
They
If
work
you're working in
incredibly
hospitals,
hard.
you're
No,
working
it is a-
shifts,
it
right?
is
A lot of the
work.
time.
Yeah.
So you're working, all sorts of hours, and people can find like some silver lining to being a nurse. But I would say, of all the professions right now, it's I would say it's less stressful than being more stressful than being a cop.
Yeah.
So
Pay
Being
the
a front-
teachers less, pay the nurses more.
oh, look, don't listen. Teachers have it pretty good. I'm not gonna.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, having been a teacher
Ooh,
for 7
inside
years, I'll tell
word.
you right now, you do get 14 weeks of holiday almost a year.
I
And
love my
you
teachers.
can,
I will
they
say,
can.
but-
They, I mean, if you're a primary school teacher, no, you don't. You
Yeah,
spend a lot of
interesting.
your time
Yeah,
doing
interesting.
prep. But if you work in secondary, you get heaps of holiday. You can get a second job if you want through those periods or outside of your school
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
It's down to you as to how much you want to do. You can still be a very effective teacher and not
Mm,
be working all year long.
It's interesting to think about AI and its development when it comes to like primary industries.
Yeah.
So like, it's hard to imagine a nurse being replaced by AI, even though there's it's like Elon the other day was saying that his new robots within the next 3 to 5 years will be better than the best surgeons in the world.
I saw that.
Now he's bullish, obviously, and he's got a vested interest, so of
Yeah,
course he's going to say that. But like, imagine if we could give free healthcare worldwide through these robots to the most remote places, right? I mean, that is a stretch of the imagination. A far less stretch is AI teaching your child. So then it's like, well, how does the pay packet equivalent to that? Like, how replaceable are you? Which is kind of a sad thing to say, but
I just don't. I think people can try it, and it'll be another one of those experiments that in 20 years people go, "Why did we do that?"
You reckon?
Well, the same way with smartphones,
with
you
AI
know?
teaching?
Yeah, the same way that kids have been left sort of to be babysat by smartphones.
oh, you reckon AI will
Tablets.
be that? Why do we let AI do
sure.
so much?
For sure.
Really? I think it could be quite good in terms of the teacher to student ratio. Like that you almost have a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of teacher to student with AI.
Yeah,
know
but
what I
I think what people forget is there's a lot. There should be a lot of reading. There should be a lot of that kind of old-fashioned,
Yes, yeah, back to basics,
approach
yeah.
to education. Having been a teacher, I think I wouldn't discard that at all. I think that's
What's
what
the ideal
it's
class
about.
size though? Because like obviously what you're saying, there is some benefit 1-to-1, but I would say there's benefit in learning alongside others. But I think 30 is quite a lot of kids to handle, especially at varying age groups.
Well, what I would say is there are certain subjects that you have to engage with a teacher or an adult
Yeah.
because, or with someone who can lead you in your learning, because so much learning for a lot of kids is about dialogue.
Yeah.
It's about back and
All
forth,
learning is-
bouncing
yeah, yeah.
ideas off each other, question and answer. But
Yeah.
and it's not just I need answers to this.
Yeah.
It's actually working through something. And there's a lot of research on this, like the importance of language in developing thinking. If you can't express newly received and newly formulated ideas, and kind of hone what you're receiving by processing it verbally with someone else, then it doesn't really embed itself in your memory, and it doesn't make a difference to how you see the world and how you do things. So,
Do you know what we should do?
Yeah.
We should just do open plan classes where all the classes are in
80
one.
students.
we did
to
that
one
already.
teacher.
And was it amazing?
It totally backfired.
80% of kids came out with no maths.
It was a disaster.
Was there 40 kids who thought they were cats and
Oh,
another
gosh.
12 who thought they were dogs and
That's
running
a
around?
separate issue. Yeah, that's a separate issue. But yeah.
Who honestly thought that was a good idea, right? What are we doing? Speaking of AI, have you seen the UK is committed to increasing their AI policing force?
Yeah.
That's crazy, eh? Cameras everywhere. So they already have those cameras that they...
Was it 300 million pounds?
No.
US dollars?
115 million pounds, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay, right.
Which would be
So
300 New
about
Zealand.
300
Yeah,
New
yeah.
Zealand million, yeah.
So they already have those cameras that they did that little display where they wheeled them onto the bridges, like the London bridges, and
Yes.
they like prop up on this pole and they scan everyone. They're just investing in more of those, I think, and they're just going to roll them out everywhere. And so I saw one sort of commentator advocate who's against them talking about it. And effectively what they can do is they'll record everyone who's at a protest, they'll record everyone who goes to an event or everyone who's in the space, and then they'll follow these people up and say, hey, we know you're at this protest, bring yourself in, come to the police station, or we'll come get you.
That's what they're doing in Iran right now.
Exactly.
That's literally what they're
Exactly.
doing.
See, all of this, when it gets to a court of law, how is it going to stand up when we have AI videos that could, anything can be manipulated?
Inadmissible. Yeah.
How do we know in the end that something
Digital ID.
is what we see it?
It is true. I mean, I'm sure there's people who can look at the metadata and tell whether something was genuine or fake, and but that'll get harder and harder
I
as,
think so.
as things progress because you can manipulate all sorts. If you become granular enough, it's just crazy to think that they're like because there is in an ideal world, sure, address crime, be more across it, all these things, but we don't live in an ideal world. We don't have benevolent leaders, and we don't have like. the way the system currently operates, people abuse. How much more so will the next system be abused?
Devil's advocate, right? If we have a set of laws that we all agree with that are actually just and good, like let's just say the laws that are to be enforced are just and good laws, and now we create a system that makes it incredibly easy to punish people who break good and just laws. Does this AI system allow that? And if it does, is that necessarily a bad thing? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
That's exactly the justification, right? And even in New Zealand, we saw with the introduction of Aura and the NZTA cameras, there was a reduction in crime and an increase in fines.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, that's awesome. But the scope and the precedent that it sets for it to be, the goalpost to be moved as to what we're prosecuting, what we're pursuing, what we're recording and monitoring, there is very little control, and as well as who can access that stuff. Those controls are very vague.
So the who can access is like the privacy side of it.
Yeah. And at this point, with the New Zealand Police Aura partnership, anyone with the New Zealand Police login can access it, right?
Yeah.
The NZT one TA one is a little bit different, but still a lot of people can access that.
Then does that mean that the fight, if that's the case, does that mean the fight should be shifted away from the AI side of things and technology to what laws are we passing?
Yeah, of course, because it's inevitable that we'll adopt AI.
Right. Okay.
It's inevitable.
It's being adopted already.
It's been adopted,
whether you like it or not. Yeah,
and
cameras are everywhere.
it's just that we have to create enough checks and balances, because trusting and goodwill. Sorry, the dog is having a nightmare right now. I don't know what the dog is doing.
I mean, wow.
She's probably having a dream about how she ran away yesterday. I have to go get her. Anyway, that's another story. Yeah, trusting in good intention or good ideas, and
That's a terrible idea.
and that like there's gonna be the right person. Like that's a 1 in a trillion that you get the right leader. Like
Yeah,
we've
you
talked
get a
about it
benevolent
before.
dictator. Yeah.
Like a Lee Kuan Yew.
Yeah,
We've talked
yeah.
about it before. Everyone wants Lee Kuan Yew, but then you get a Stalin, you get a Hitler, you get all these people, Putin, and so we need the law, we need the legislation to be tightly written, and almost like
checks and
almost
balances
like the
on
American
power.
Constitution, where they made it so hard to break the system by checks and balances and the different bodies of government that it shouldn't in theory work, but it works because of itself working against itself all the time, and they're always having to hold themselves to account or hold each other to account, and it's like helps imperfect people to somehow do something almost perfect. You know,
Well, it doesn't give one person total and complete authority to impose their will on everyone else. It's the people to a large extent. It's supposed to be the will of the people imposed on the people.
Yeah. Anyway, New Zealand will continue to roll that out here as well. Like I saw a picture the other day. Someone got a speeding ticket for having their phone out on their lap while they were at a stoplight.
Nah.
And it said, and their both hands are on the wheel, and that's the photo, and the phone's on their lap, and it said, operating a device while using a device while operating a motor vehicle. It's like a couple $100.
See, I don't like. Apparently, in Australia, they're very strict on their road laws. Is that what they're called? Like, if you go 5-10 kilometers over the speed limit anywhere, they've got cameras. They'll catch you instantly.
Yeah.
I would hate that here in New Zealand. Like,
Are you admitting that you're speeding?
I do speed.
I've been a
little bit.
passenger in your car, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what's it like?
We've ran some
Hey, no,
green lights.
I'm not gonna
Better than some other
I'm not
people
gonna
you've driven
diss
with.
the free rides that I get. So you know.
Oh, has he driven with some crazy people?
You've driven me in my car before, and I've been in your car. You've always
Yeah,
good.
I'm not bad.
You're a good driver.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
feel-
Thank you.
I feel safe.
Very safe and confident. But the thought of there being cameras everywhere that punish me for going 5 kilometers over the speed limit or something, I don't like that. But I don't know if that's my me being selfish and not wanting to follow the law, or if that's the government imposing too much.
I think that's
on
just
me.
you going. There's a reasonable kind of margin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I don't wanna pay
We all
$300.
maybe have a different kind of
That's true.
threshold for
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
think
yeah.
the absolute top margin is, but yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, I mean, technically you did break the law, so I don't want any complaints from you. But
Did you hear that the British, as we're talking about the British, the Ministry of Defence came out recently and said that all staff who own Chinese vehicles are not allowed to drive their Chinese vehicles to work because they're basically spyware?
really?
Yeah. It was on ZB yesterday. UK Ministry of Defence came out and said, don't drive your Chinese vehicles around.
And you saw the article that I shared with you guys about
The embassy?
president of of Fiji.
Oh, Fiji getting
The
gifted-
limo.
Just received. Well, yeah, it's this luxury Chinese-made vehicle. It's a
Unbelievable.
sedan, but like it's kind of like the Rolls Royce of China, And yeah, the Chinese government just gave it to the president of Fiji, and I'm sure that nothing in that car will be monitored, recorded.
That's unreal. Oh, you can trust the Fijian Secret Service to look through that very vigorously.
I mean, this is exactly why we're heading to Wellington tomorrow to submit on this. What's it called? The transnational.
It's a agreement that New Zealand is signing up to create. It's called the Pacific Resilience Facility.
Yeah, and effectively for trying to ensure that we have Pacific independence, right? That we would help them, the Pacific, to be independent,
self-reliant, self-sustaining,
Pacific
sovereign
nations, Pacific Island nations, right?
Yeah. Tell us, because you're making the submission.
We're submitting on this. This is
Practice your pitch on us.
Yeah, exactly. They're setting up a facility which receives funding from a number of countries, including New Zealand, and New Zealand is agreed to give $20 million of our money to set up this facility that uses the money for resilience against climate-related disasters. So to help them protect themselves against environmental disasters,
cyclones, tsunamis, things like that.
Anything. Yeah. Now, obviously, that money isn't going to, you're not paying the weather gods to stop the rain. You're using that money to build infrastructure.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Emergency services, hospitals, response units, things like that.
Or even ports and it's economic development. Now, we're submitting in favor of that because to the extent that these countries are self-reliant and self-sustaining and able to look after themselves in the case of environmental disasters, it makes it less likely for coercive and opportunistic partners, quote marks, like China to come in and impose their will. And so to the extent that these Pacific nations can rely on themselves and strong allies like New Zealand, we are in support of that.
Well, the truth is, and we see it in Samoa, we see it in Tonga, we see it in Fiji and Africa, where China comes in and offers infrastructure.
But they're dual use, civilian and
military. And they say we'll do it, but we'll bring our own builders over.
That's right.
We'll bring our own companies, so there's no growth in the local economy.
Yeah.
And then they also don't even do it well. Like you look at China, they bang things up real quick. That's not because they're amazing builders, it's because they cut
it's all
corners.
built of tofu. Yeah.
And then what they do is they sign these agreements that says, in return for us giving you this, we're doing this for you, we'll just have all your resources and we'll have your land. And if you don't pay us back by a certain time, I think the debt that Africa owes China,
they're never going to pay it back.
It's just insurmountable. They'll never pay it back. And then there's a clause that says, well, if you don't pay us back, we'll just take all of this. And so people trap themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And so they do that not only with infrastructure, but they also do it with these sister city relationships because sometimes it's so difficult to build relationships at the government level. Yeah. They just go to local government. Yeah. And then
Chamber of Commerce and exactly. Local government
Well, they promised economic. They're like, oh, we'll make sure that our tourists come here because that was their big threat to Japan, right? Hey, if you guys don't stop acknowledging Taiwan, we're going to stop sending our tourists. And they did. They said everyone stopped going. No, a large amount of people still went to Japan because they wanted to, but a huge percentage stopped. Right? They can just cut it off overnight. I think they stopped sending them seafood as well or something like that. They cut off a lot of their supply there.
It's funny. I remember we had a lot to do. My family had a lot to do with setting up a school in Fiji. And it was on the coast of an island there, and there was a dirt road for forever. And then eventually, the Chinese company that did the road came in and said, "We'll do it on a loan basis, and as long as you give the contract to our guys." So a Chinese company came in. They, of course, quoted way under any of the competition. So like Downer, from Australia and New Zealand, companies like that.
Wow.
Way under. Of course, there was no kind of contest. The problem was that they then under engineered the entire road network in this part of the island, and so the first cyclone that came along, roads washed out, bridges. They had a bridge completely undermined and had to detour, and all of this stuff goes on, and you realize that the roads weren't even made properly. Now, this is not to say that the Chinese couldn't do a really good road if they wanted to. The point is that you get these types of, very enticing promises.
Politically motivated.
Yeah, and they might deliver it initially, but it comes with massive strings attached and often at substandard quality. It's not to have a go at Chinese people. It's just to point out that this kind of statecraft, this kind of like politicking, like is having quite a profound impact. But it's also backfiring. I think.
They know how to build. It's more of an effort thing than it is a quality thing, really. But it's so important, this thing that we're submitting on our end, because of Pacific independence or Pacific stability means that we are more protected from
of course,
Chinese warship activity in our ocean. And I mean, they're pretty brazen with it already. They'll come happily. And
you saw that in February last year. They were doing live fire exercises in the Tasman
in Australia.
And without notice.
Yeah. Imagine now I'm sure they already have bases set up in New Zealand, Australia, and through the Pacific. Like they already had 100 secret police stations everywhere else, right? But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try and combat it, and we shouldn't try and expose it more.
Yeah, you could lay down your arms and say, "Well, we can't do anything about it," and that will just make the process happen faster. Or you can at least step up and talk about it and try and push back against it. And I think you totally can, and I think it's appropriate to push back against it, and particularly given that I think China in 10, 15 years' time won't be the China it is today, and so they'll project their power now when they can because
the demographic issues,
economically, and therefore also militarily. I think. They've got debt issues internally, they've got demographic issues, they've got corruption issues. They don't have particularly strong intellectual property protection in the country because they just copy-paste what the Americans are doing, so they're always a step behind.
But what about the robotics? What about the automation of factories, which combined with that massive middle class that's now emerged from the last 30, 40 years of economic liberalization, that could be a major factor, right? If the world is heading towards robots and greater automation for manufacturing.
For sure. I think the US is like very conscious of that, hence the tariffs and trying to bring more manufacturing back inland. But India's
the US is not automating, they're not moving to robotics the same way. And so can they do things at scale the way the Chinese
I think they'll do it offshore in India if they have to.
Interesting.
Yeah, but again, will the efficiency be there? Because India is also modernizing at a slower rate than China did, but and there's a large middle class in India that's emerged too. But I don't know that they're going to be able to compete in terms of the manufacturing.
Yeah, it's a good point. I've heard something interesting though about this sort of class. You're talking about this rising middle class and even the wealthy Chinese, because of the way that the CCP regulates people's income and money and everything. People were investing in property a lot to try and sort of keep their money.
But that's because you couldn't own private property. You still can't own private property.
So what they'll do is they'll buy properties overseas, right? And that's why we saw a lot of foreign buyers in New Zealand in the past. Apparently, though, there's a really popular way that's emerging now in China, which is Pokemon cards. And what people will do is buy
their Bitcoin.
This is a true story. Like the CCP is looking into how they can regulate and shut this sort of stuff down. They'll buy rare or limited Pokemon cards and then go on holiday and sell them overseas for that currency and just have accounts overseas. So it's such a common practice now that the CCP is like, this wealth flight, people are getting their money out of here somehow. We don't know how they're doing it, but they identified Pokemon cards as like a major factor that people were doing it through. So, mate, that's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
Embezzling, well, not embezzling because it's your money, but smuggling your own money out through Pokemon cards.
It's tax evasion.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's evading state control.
I just don't have much hope in a system that is command control. Like, whether you like it or not, I don't see long-term success unless they reform. Like the American system is, everyone go do your own thing. You all have freedom. If it's working, it'll continue to work. If it's not, you have your own error correction mechanisms with the pricing system of the market economy. You've free speech, all that, and so it will perpetually self-correct at speed. I don't have the same hope for a command economy where the speed at which that information about what's working and what's not takes so much longer to get to the top, and by the time it gets to the top, they don't have necessarily great information to.
Yeah, everything's going to be rubber stamped by the party.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so for the system, I don't have much hope.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but
no. I think like the overarching principle makes a difference, right?
Yeah, and that's my hope. That's what I build my argument on is the principle. So I might be wrong.
It's hard. It's a two-edged sword though, because it's not that I think anyone really wants the Chinese people to suffer, right?
No, of course not.
You don't want to see all these people, go through economic struggle because China went through a massive,
Starvation,
period
and
of
death
absolutely. But I think the other, but you don't want to see authoritarianism succeed.
No, and I don't think it will. Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and it will probably, fall because of its own failings, right?
That's right.
But the problem is that we, in what you might call the free world, have invested so much in that economy, and we are dependent so much on that economy that if they do fail, it will drag us down as well. Maybe not completely, but it's going to have a major impact on us.
Yeah, huge effect.
And this is what happens is when you kind of like dance with despots, right? With with authoritarians. There's every chance that you're going to incur a lot of pain yourself. So,
And you see case in point in Iran. It's command control economy, ideologically driven, and you just see how that death and destruction and darkness come out of it.
There's two things off the back of this that I think we should talk about. Our second submission, which is happening tomorrow, but then also the foreign interference conference.
21st,
2 weeks,
21st of February.
21st of February, so 3 weeks. Let's talk about that first. So, foreign interference conference happening here in Auckland.
Yep.
You're going to be speaking.
Yep, it's going to be at the
it's gonna be
Waipuna
good.
Conference Centre.
Yeah, and it's going to be hosted by Chinese, Taiwanese sort of.
So the Tasman Alliance, which is basically a newly formed kind of network of people in this part of the world, in Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific, and there will be people coming from like Taiwan, US, all sorts of places, and people with a background, I guess, in dealing with foreign interference, particularly in regards to China, because China is, I think, the world's number one concern in that regard. Yes, the Russians are doing some pretty crazy stuff. The Iranian government have done similar things too, like we saw in Australia. But in terms of just the sheer scale and I think the audacity and the long game that's being played, the Chinese outstrip everybody.
It's funny though, because if you read our Instagram comments, America is the world's, and Israel is the world's most active foreign interferers, and how dare we not call them out?
And the point is that, like, of course, these countries will have operations going on.
Surveillance, the Mossad, and the Shin Bet, and the FBI,
intelligence
and CIA,
agencies. Every country has one. We have one. It's a question though of what exactly they're advancing. What agenda are they advancing?
What sort of background do you reckon you have to work for the NZSAS?
You probably have to be good at. I think a lot of people that are employed there would be doing. If you're talking about the GCSB, then you have to have an
Security
IT background. You've got to be good with data. You've got to be good with that type of analysis. If you're talking about SIS, then you're probably talking about people that have multiple cultural kind of areas of expertise.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah. So, mate,
Should I get
Should
in
get
there?
you in there.
candidate.
Well, I
right
thought
there.
I would be a red flag
No.
because of my background.
Hey,
Really?
They
I'm
need
not the
you,
perfect guy.
they need you
Really?
like deep
To be a
cover, mate. They need you to.
Have you seen
they
that
need
guy
you to-
who?
Don't put this
There's
out.
a very famous spy who goes on a lot of the podcasts, and he
Johnny English.
Johnny English.
It's a movie. It's
No, you know the guy I'm
fictional
talking
character.
about. He looks Middle Eastern.
Oh,
He's an
the
American
blonde
guy.
hair?
No, not blonde. He looks Middle Eastern. He's American. He might be Middle Eastern.
Is he
in
like
heritage.
ex-CIA?
He's ex-CIA, I think.
Curly hair?
Yeah, curly
Long
hair.
curly
Longer
hair. Yes,
hair.
yeah.
And he talks about how because of his appearance and his sort of makeup, how he was like the perfect spy to go and infiltrate these areas. And his tip, I always think about it. He's like, wherever you go, always carry an American $100 bill with you because it'll get you out of most situations.
Whoa.
He's like $100 American dollars is enough to get you anywhere in the world in a tight situation. So that's pretty cool.
But make sure you tuck it in your shoe or in your sock.
That's what he says. Like keep it on your
Hey, those pickpockets are pretty good.
yeah.
So just going back to this symposium, I think the lineup's going to be really interesting. A lot of people that have been working at the coalface, and the newcomers like us.
Our former colleague Jelaine should be speaking.
Yes, that's right.
Let's go.
And Simon O'Connor.
Nice.
Simon. He's going to be in attendance. I think he's speaking. I haven't seen the lineup yet.
Nick Hahn?
I'll be putting in my 2 cents. And particularly though, promoting what we're doing around our foreign interference,
The furs.
work and our foreign influence registry scheme.
We should try and get some hard copies of the draft and have them
An
available. for people to
overview
look
of
at.
it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we're almost there with that. So
Or pamphlet style kind of thing.
we have a draft piece of legislation that we're for the bill we're proposing, and there's going to be the Taiwan ambassador who officially has to be called the Taiwan representative, but Joanne, she'll be there.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting
very exciting.
event.
I'm looking forward to it. We've got, I mean, that's not the only event we have coming up because we're going to Stephen Pinker next week.
Yeah.
Chris Williamson.
Yes.
You're doing foreign interference symposium. I'm going to Australia for Aspire. So that'd be really interesting.
Spying.
For Aspire. ASPIRE.
Spying on the.
Hopefully connect with some really interesting other organizations there.
Yeah, and that is something initiated by former Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, John Anderson.
John Anderson.
Yeah. So he's
cool.
The blurb that I got sent was, we've been inspired by the ARC conference, the what are they called? The Responsible
Alliance for Responsible
Citizenship. Yeah. So they wanted to do ARC in the Southern Hemisphere. I think they tried it. It just didn't really work out. So then he's sort of been nominated to start his own thing. And so lucky enough to receive an invitation there. But it'll be really awesome to connect with some other groups there. Cool. Hopefully build some good relationships. But before all of that even happens, we have another submission to make, this time on the Telecommunications and Other Amendments Bill. Right. There's a lot of, I suppose, commentary around it and what it means for encrypted messaging services. And Arian, we spoke yesterday morning. You had some really good clarity on it and what it actually means and what the issue is, more so than the safety of our encrypted messages, but the danger in creating these unelected bureaucratic positions with extraterritorial and sort of super power to exercise over private companies.
That's right.
So tell me more.
In terms of the confusion or the lots of commentary, I think that some consider it that this law is going to make it possible for the government to decrypt or ask companies to decrypt end-to-end encryption. But the whole point of end-to-end encryption is that no one can decrypt it, not even the company.
I was going to say, just on this quickly, sorry.
No, please.
There was some commentary from Elon this morning that I saw where he was criticizing the likes of WhatsApp and Signal for actually not being as encrypted as they claimed.
Oh, is that right?
But it was also attached to a marketing push for his own X messaging platform.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's like, that's why you should use X chat or whatever it's called, like X message or something. And he's like, well, look, we're way better.
If he and his company can, decrypt it, anything from WhatsApp and Signal, then that'll be the evidence, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah. Telegram. So anyway, sorry to steal your
thunder.
No,
not at all. But so the bill, the purpose of the bill is to modernize our telecommunications regulations in New Zealand, because currently those regulations look after what is only domestic and domestic companies. But the reality is most people use services that are provided by international providers, so WhatsApp and Messenger, Instagram Messenger, or Facebook Messenger and Signal and the likes, and we have no kind of control to enforce any of our laws on it. So this bill gives powers to enforce New Zealand's laws onto those companies. What that includes is for the Secretary of MB to revoke or restrict licensing to those companies and their access to New Zealand markets, if required by our intelligence agencies. And so say you're the intelligence agency and you come to me as a Secretary of MB and say, we're concerned about, say, Signal. We want you to restrict their license. Under the current form of the bill, there's not many checks or balances on my power to just remove that.
You've got a big red button, effectively.
To say, okay, Signal is out. And I don't have to hear from Signal or on their case, and the intelligence services don't necessarily have to provide any specific information.
They don't have to give you a file that is, here's our justification.
They have to provide an assurance.
So
that's what it says.
They don't have to approach a judge and get
they might have to have a warrant, but they don't have to provide me with anything in specific. It's like
if you're the MB,
if I'm the one that
So they don't even have to notify you that they're doing this.
No, they have to ask me to do it.
Oh, right, okay.
But they just have to say, can you do it?
You hold the power supremely as what's the position? The Secretary of MB.
Yeah. And they don't have to provide any, it says provide an assurance that the intelligence services have tried their best to deal with it without removing. And it's like, what is the assurance? Like,
it's crazy as well, though, because...
Pardon?
We'll take your word for
almost take your word for it. Yeah.
You think about how much traffic goes through these sites, right?
So
it's everything from family chats to social sports teams and like we use
Yeah.
Signal as an
Yeah.
organization to do our work
Governments- lots of
communication.
government
but
services use
also,
Signal.
you know, Islamic State propaganda
But that's the thing, yeah.
videos, you know, child porn, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, but so that's the point I'm making. There's this huge swath of information that goes through these channels.
Yeah.
And we spoke to David Harvey about this a few months
Yeah,
ago
yeah,
and what it actually meant to be in possession of something. Because the argument was sort of out there that as long as it stays on these platforms, it's hard to prosecute or impossible to prosecute because it's on the platform, not on the device. He talked about a core precedent that was set where once you've received it on your device in your home, that counts as being in possession of.
It's like you've gone to the shop to consume it, as opposed to
Yeah.
the shop coming to you and giving it to you. That's
Yeah,
what he
yeah.
was describing.
Yeah, and so the point of that information departing, right? So the other, you know, person's device and then your device, those 2 points. So the point where it departs and the point where it's received, they carry digital signatures, right? So therefore, he said those are the points at which, you know, law enforcement can actually swoop,
Can get in on.
seize material,
'Cause
and
we asked
actually
him-
then base a prosecution on that.
Because the question is, well, if it never leaves the device, how do you trace it, track it? But there is capacity, and I think as we've seen, these people who are consuming that sort of material, they're sick. like if we're being honest, they're sick and they're not that smart, and their sickness gets to the point where they become sloppy, and a lot of damage happens between starting that journey and being caught for sure. But then do we justify preemptively policing, prosecuting, and do we justify surveillance and spying in order to
spy on everyone. 'Cause,
yeah.
Because once we cross that threshold, then, you know, all sorts of other areas of law become preemptive as well, don't they?
Well, exactly.
You can't argue against it if you break it.
And it's all perception based, because then we start trying to identify candidates like, well, that person sort of fits the bill, and you know, the stereotypes exist for a reason. And sure, you might be right,
It becomes prejudicial.
but yeah, judge a book by its cover. That's not what the law's about. It's not, that doesn't give everyone a fair shake. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to these submissions, and then we've got a bunch of meetings with key stakeholders that will be
supporters and people who know us in Wellington.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Hopefully, catch up with a couple of former colleagues. You know, it'll be good. But no, I'm looking forward to it.
Good windy welly. Hopefully, good weather. I've only been to Wellington once,
Really?
and landing was terrible. I was like, what the hell is going on here with the plane and the wind?
The Wellington airport landing is one of the most amazing. Like just looking at, because you literally land
You go
right on the
around
edge.
and then
Yeah, and then anyway.
But I always think, there's ministers that do it every week, and they're all alive. So
Yeah, they are.
this won't be
They
the
are.
end of me. It won't be the end of me. So we shall see what happens. But it'll be. I'm looking forward to presenting to these people on behalf of Pillar, and we'll post the videos for the supporters. I think we'll wear our Pillar pins.
We should talk about why we're all dressed so nicely. Well, now that you guys have taken your jackets off, though.
Sure. Let me put it back on.
No,
for
that's
the,
fine.
for the
Like
ladies.
every other week now.
Yeah. No, so we obviously had a really great meeting this morning with our lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, Stephen, who is helping us with our case for Auckland Citizen. He's reviewed the material and believes we have a pretty strong case that we can sort of move ahead with and get the charge dropped effectively. So that's really encouraging. But it's exciting to be stepping into the space, obviously, with our 4 key work focuses of stand, shift, speak, and strengthen. Stand being this exactly, like legal. So stand is legal, shift is legislative, speak is sort of our commentary and content, and then strengthen is our community engagement and events. Have our first stand moment or our first case on board felt pretty awesome, eh? Like sitting in that room and then hearing, like we've thrown around amongst our team, like I think it's a pretty good case, like be hard to lose this one, and I feel like we got some good legs to stand on here, and for him to confirm all of that, is like
I think
good.
too, like just recognizing at this point that despite the Independent Police Conduct Authority, like doing their review and last year kind of concluding that there are major issues still with how police handle protests, how they handle, you know, protesters, and that there is really a clear lack of training and knowledge amongst many of those police officers, especially the new recruits, but not just there. And yet there hasn't, from what we can see, there hasn't been a discernible change
Do you
in
think
the approach that police are taking.
Do you think it's a lack of training, or do you think it's bad training? Because obviously
Well, it could be both.
Yeah,
but-
we saw with their hate crime training That wasn't a lack. That was actually a surplus of training that was extra to their core role and provided by a third party that they adopted.
And the problem there as well is I think you're right. I think it's both bad training where they do get it, but also just large areas of a lack of understanding of law, especially the Bill of Rights Act.
It's funny how their response to the IPCA report was, well, we don't have clarity on the law. We don't have clarity on our operations.
Yeah.
So therefore we need greater powers. We need greater legislative powers. Why? How? Yeah. You don't even know the ones that you currently have. Exactly. You're not applying them properly. Yeah. Why would we give you, like, you're hurting yourself quite a lot right now with a hammer while we give you a handgun.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's self-inflicted, I think, a lot of this. And there's a lot of sympathy for police at times. But the problem is that, they have a tough job to do. Why make it tougher for themselves, though?
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think the police play a vital role,
of course,
in our society. They do genuinely
Incredible
contribute
work.
to a better society. Yeah. Crime is down. Yeah. I'm not going to, like, if something happens to me, I'm calling the police. Yeah. You know, sure. I want to be able to trust the police to do their job well.
Yes.
I do feel bad, though, that some of the international police sort of sentiment has been imported. A lot of that sort of defund the police or the police are abusers, because I don't think there's actually a precedent set for that degree. Like, I think they have definitely in recent times exercised their power in ways that is not great.
Yeah.
But they're not out there shooting people. They're not out there. You know, police brutality and sort of, to my knowledge, isn't happening to the degree that it is in the States. Or
no, we don't get quite the same extremes in terms of stories of people who are shot or whatever, and just trying to live their lives. But I think there is it's as part of that cultural movement that doesn't have borders, right? It's I think particularly notable amongst progressives.
Did you see Pāra Te Pāti Māori's policy around abolishing prisons, which was the title of their policy announcement, but it's a bit more nuanced than that. I'll give them credit. It's not just abolish prisons. That was very unwise branding and marketing from them.
Yeah.
But they want to introduce police body cams. And have you seen sort of the response to that? No. So police body cams in the 2010s is what the left advocated for in the US, and they pushed really hard for it. As a result, it didn't show any increase or justification to the idea that police were doing anything wrong. In fact, 90% more police were exonerated because of their body camera footage. And what it showed was actually far more violent criminal behavior and people resisting arrest. So they're like, we need police body cams. I'm like, sure,
we do.
Like, we should do that.
Protect the police.
Yeah, like and because it plays both sides, it actually does make the police behave better. Because there's a few instances in the States as well where officers who are bad have turned off their cam, and that there is immediately a red flag. Yeah. So why not? Yeah, bring them in. Because I think it'll just show that more often than not, the police are operating within the bounds of their remit. And if they're not currently, it'll force them to. Why not?
Someone's always watching you.
Yeah. If everything you do is recorded, you're gonna be like way sharp.
The book of life.
Unless you are reckless.
Can we apply that argument though to other areas of
true. If we've got AI cameras everywhere,
put them
we'll all behave. I changed my mind.
But that's the difference of monitoring you in your civilian capacity and you in a professional capacity, right? Like when you're at work, there's an expectation that you behave and carry yourself in a certain way. You subscribe to that under the guise that your boss might catch you being a silly bugger.
Yeah, but are we going to start defending people that work in other roles other than police?
What do you mean?
Being surveilled.
Police aren't being surveilled in a sense, though. It's there for their safety.
It's absolute surveillance.
You reckon?
Yep.
It only activates when they are active in a call.
It's state mandated surveillance of a government employee.
Are police technically government employees? Public servants.
Well, public servants. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good argument if you're an absolutist in terms of which I mean, who's not a privacy absolutist?
Because I think we have to be careful. We could be accused of picking and choosing.
That's a good point.
We're bloody.
We like law and order.
Dang, caught me there.
So therefore, we want surveillance because it'll exonerate police most of the time.
Do you know what? Yeah. I literally. So remember the other week I talked about the American border and them keeping people out who had bad social media, and I was like, oh yeah, good on them. But then I remember when Candace Owens got banned from Australia, we're like, stuff this.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's quite hypocritical. And it's like, if you're going to be honest, intellectually honest, you'll be able to say that. I was like, yeah, that was actually. We need to be more careful about the way.
The question is, are we being consistent?
Yeah,
but then the other question is it necessarily exactly the same thing? That
if you're coming as a visitor tourist for 3 days to speak, and whether you're coming here to live.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think the same way. So, is there a case for more video recordings in law enforcement? Well, you could make the case that when you do interviews with people, you really should have them recorded.
Yeah, right? For sure.
So there's a controlled environment. People are sitting there. But there is also a set procedure that people have to follow in that situation, right? So the cops have to do it a certain way, but then the person who's being questioned or interviewed is expected to kind of be compliant in that way as well. But those are some pretty clearly defined parameters. If, though, we're talking about 24/7 cops wearing body cams and there's always that surveillance, will we, in some respects, become reliant on that technology and assume not just that what we see is what's actually happening, which that may with AI
can be manipulated,
but also that other things that can happen that aren't covered by the field of vision with a camera that can also be manipulated by law enforcement, but also potentially manipulated by other people. And so it may create. I would argue that in some situations it's already created problems that are not actually easily resolvable.
I would say this though, in some of the recent incidences concerning ICE, police body cam footage says one thing, then you have a bystander who films something, they see another thing. One of the cases I saw where the police alleged that someone had a gun, and then bystander footage actually he had a camera,
right?
But then you play the clip through, and then he does have a gun. So it's like, wait, which one is it? It's really confusing. I think the cameras, into my knowledge, it's you receive a call, you arrive at the call, you switch it on. I watched a documentary recently where the whole thing was shot through police body camera footage, and it was about this older lady in the States who she shot and killed her neighbor because the kids kept playing in this open field next to her house. It wasn't her field or anything, but it's just like she called 911 like so many times, numerous times, and they responded every time. And then eventually something happened where she stole this kid's bike to teach them a lesson, and the mum went to get it back, and she shot the mum through the door.
Oh my days.
And she ended up getting charged with murder because there was just so much evidence that she was like, she had a vendetta against these people. Yeah. But it was the whole documentary was pieced together by police body cam footage.
Wow.
So you were literally in the moment. It wasn't a recreation.
Whoa.
Everything was real. Yeah. It's on Netflix. But yeah.
I mean, the case we're representing, the entire thing is recorded on camera.
2 angles. Handheld and body.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's funny, like obviously our lawyer today was saying, like there's 2 angles of everything. You can see everything. You know what happened. The police write-up is completely different. And in fact, the 3 officers, their stories don't even line up. 2 of them say that you pushed someone. The third one says that they pushed you. Things like that. So there should be enough in there just to get them to drop the case. And if they don't, then...
It's exciting. A bigger case for us.
We hit the trial with the judge, present to the judge. The evidence is pretty hard to refute, to deny. Yeah. It just makes the police look like they can't admit when they're wrong. They're digging their heels in. Yeah. And one bad cop doesn't mean every cop's bad.
No, sure.
But it is.
Sometimes there can be culture within certain,
squads and teams.
Teams.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think it's an ongoing debate, right? And there's not going to be necessarily an easy one-size-fits-all rule. When it comes to recording, monitoring, especially with video, but I think we just have to be more cautious as we enter this kind of highly surveilled, digitized era, because it's going to be difficult to draw a line in certain areas and say we shouldn't now apply it in here, in this case.
Do you think that because it is going to be case by case, some might say nuanced? But do you think that the first principle is that we're against surveillance in general? We're against the state surveillance of sovereign citizens.
We're talking about surveillance in the sense of do we need to be watching everybody all the time? I don't see that. I don't see that it actually helps us in a societal or cultural sense.
Right? There's an ethos of distrust
underlying
that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of, in a sense, it's almost like pre-crime.
Yeah, for sure.
We're waiting for someone to trip up. And what that does is it could, to some degree, drive a lot of behavior underground, or make people even more evasive and kind of tricky about how they do stuff.
Yeah, it will. So the first principle is surveillance. We're not for it. But then,
but are there carve-outs for that where it's justified?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
same with
Like with most rights, you do into these agreements, these trade-offs where you don't lose them, but you temporarily exercise them differently because of employment or because of professional situation, or like, not that you ever, like I say, you never lose them. But in this employment, I agree that I'm going to wear a camera for my safety and the safety of those around me. It will be activated at these specific times only, and the footage will be accessible and permissible for use only in these scenarios.
And sometimes those restrictions to those rights, for example, in the case of free speech and incitement to violence, actually enable the exercise of that right to flourish.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when we say free speech except for incitement to violence, you're actually enabling more speech to take place. You know what I mean? So some restriction in that scenario, for example, allows the rest of the right to flourish. And I wonder whether there's a similar, as you guys say, similar reality for surveillance. I haven't thought about it at all. But I think the principle of as little as possible as well.
I personally don't really care that much when people, turn a camera on me and want to follow me around, but
It's like when people worry about getting like robbed, like cyber robbed.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, good. Just
What's
practice. I don't have enough for you to steal.
Wait, what's cyber robbed?
Like if someone hacks your bank account, just practice, mate.
You end up depositing money. They feel bad.
You have my $12.
Yeah, I think the again, where is there potential for manipulation?
Yeah,
and so that's got to be factored in. I'm not. I don't.
No, that's
personally.
possible.
I don't have like a hard and fast rule. No surveillance or yes surveillance, but
It's good vigilance.
But I think is it justified? Is there a reasonable justification for it? Because a lot of what we're doing right now, in terms of these new things that are being implemented at like a government and even in a private sort of sector capacity, are being done because they're easy and because they're more affordable. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're principled.
that is interesting because a lot of decisions are, I think, like we keep hearing it. Oh, they haven't considered the unintended consequences.
Sure,
and they haven't. They've only considered the upfront cost, and that has been and it's the same reason why everyone has invested deeply in China without taking into consideration.
Well, same with why people are turning to AI, and
Exactly.
there was that. I think we saw it in the same podcast, but in San Francisco there was this huge, banner billboard advertising why you shouldn't hire humans anymore. AI replacements will take their place and do a better job. And there was a big outcry about that. But I understand it. I understand it. And it's not that we need to, in a sense, become socialist and, orchestrate something in order to somehow preserve human dignity. But I think we can't ignore the reality that people will become more and more angry and disenchanted with the system that they live under, both politically and economically, right? Perhaps starting with the economics and then moving for political change.
Yes.
That's how most revolutions, whether they are violent or non-violent, usually proceed. So
There's a movie that came out,
Awesome.
I'm going to say 2 years ago, about it's got Denzel Washington's son in it, the one from
John Washington.
John Washington.
Yeah.
And he plays this guy who the world has been sort of, what I'm talking about, and the robots
So it's
and the
filmed
AIs.
in Greece, right?
Is
Is
it?
it filmed in Greece?
Well, he
no, you're
looks like
talking
his
about
dad. What the
Christopher Nolan film.
No. So the world has gone past where we are now in terms of AI has now got bodies and there's robots and then there's this war between humans and robots, kind of Terminator-ish.
I don't think I've seen that, no.
But it settles in this sort of like this master robot. I watched it on a plane, so maybe my details are a bit fuzzy, but he falls in love with this lady who's trying to help the robots, and they end up getting separated and all this and that, and they're trying to destroy the robots. And anyway, it's like sci-fi is just sci-fi. But it is amazing to think, what happens if the X robot that Elon's developing, or the robots that we're seeing come out of China, get to the point where they are integrated into society at a level where, because I think there's going to be like 5 robots for every person, because that's how many people will
unreal,
obviously have to live their life. And robot will do everything for you, Like, imagine that.
Well, Elon Musk was saying we are essentially in today's world, we are cyborgs in the sense that we carry this phone thing. It's not inside of us, but it's so integrated into our identity.
With Neuralink
and
and stuff like that, he wants to integrate it further.
It's already part of
I
us.
suppose I just think that this whole idea that we won't have to work, that the robots will do it all for us, is said from the perspective of billionaires. I don't think that even with the mass production of robots and the middle classes who can afford it, the middle class who can afford it, being able to get them, that still translates into everyone will have a robot.
Yeah.
I think it depends on their largesse, right? It depends on the largesse of these companies and these billionaires. I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as that.
There's going to be more Hunger Gamesy, where we get separated into districts and districts.
But I think what it will do is it will only amplify this divide between the rich and the poor.
Well, I mean, a lot of those low-skilled jobs, driving cars and Ubers and that, they'll be gone soon.
Yep.
Once countries adopt self-driving to the degree that it's possible, they'll be gone. And once there's enough self-driving cars on the road, it'll just be like, all right, every car has to be self-driving to avoid
and with
accidents.
automation, mechanics will likely disappear over time.
Because how will self-driving cars fix themselves?
No, because of robotics and automation in terms
They
of...
just go to these stations like
they'll,
Iron Man.
they'll just have... They will. They will. I can see that happening very soon.
Like with the robotic arms and that.
Absolutely.
Because
Because
cars are quite intricately skilled.
Well, cars are so... Yeah, they are. But you look at a lot of car manufacturing
It's like Lego.
factories now. There's a huge amount of automation, robotics involved.
Thanks to Henry Ford.
I think China's probably
Leading
at the
it.
front, the forefront of that.
Are they?
Well, they are in terms of how they make a lot of their cars. Yeah,
They're spyware.
they're already moving. They've got huge numbers of factories now that are moving towards almost complete robotics in terms of their assembly and
Interesting.
manufacturing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wonder how that will affect their labor market. Right? Like,
Well, I mean, they've only got 400
employment.
million, so they don't need that many jobs.
How do you think it'll affect sports? I think it'll be so interesting. Like, will we have robots fighting each other at boxing? Will we have robots racing? And to what extent?
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
I think it'll be super interesting.
I think it'll be like that movie. It's like quite a few years ago now, with Hugh Jackman, right? Where they
Real
get those
Steel.
robots. Yeah, Real Steel.
Yeah.
But tug on the heartstrings. That
They
movie.
sort of have like you wear like a exosuit beside the ring and your robot's in the ring and you fight
Oh,
someone else.
so it's still human.
So it's like proxy fighting.
Yeah.
robots.
That's so cool.
I mean, I've seen those robots in that run so far. They're pretty
At the
puggy.
moment, yeah.
But,
they're like toddlers.
The thing I'm excited about athletics-wise is the enhanced games. Have you seen this? So these guys said, what happens if we
It's
hosted
prosthetics and stuff. Not
No.
prosthetics with
steroids?
okay.
So they're like,
Heck
we're
yeah.
gonna host a version of the
Oh my
Olympics
days.
Yeah.
where we open it up to like world class athletes.
Yeah.
Like one of the swimmers was an Olympic medalist from Australia, and he's like, I'm retired from the Olympics, so I'm going to start using steroids and try to break the world record. So he's going hard. And then Hapthor Bjorn, the world's strongest man, he's just signed up to try and break the world's heaviest lift on steroids. So like they've got all these ex-athletes who are like already the best of the best.
Yeah.
Now they're like, how far can we push our body?
With some enhancement,
They're seeing already. I think the swimmer already started to shave. Yeah, swimming and
they're all going to
sprinting
die
are like
prematurely
milliseconds.
from like enlarged hearts and stuff, right? So
Yeah, but die a legend. Let's go.
Gosh.
But yeah, the enhanced games, you should have a look at. I think they're doing a Netflix, or they might already have a Netflix documentary about the backstory, but I don't know when the official games are. Pretty amazing, though.
Was some Russian guy going to do a version of the Hunger Games as well?
Oh, I don't
I
know.
heard many years
isn't
ago.
there just living in Russia?
Yeah. His name is Putin.
I think they're going to do it in the waters around the Somalia for the pirates.
Yeah. Last one standing gets $1 million. It's actually a Mr. Beast video.
Oh yeah.
You know, this morning Ezra goes to me, "Oh, when I grow up, I'm going to ask Mr. Beast for a flying car." I was like, "Oh, what? Why are you even
First
thinking
thought
about
of the
Mr.
day.
Beast?" I was like, "Why would you
I'm
do
your
that?"
hero, son.
Yeah.
Well, I said, "Why would you ask Mr. Beast for that?" He goes, "Because I want one." I said, "Yeah, but why don't you think about inventing your own flying car? Or why don't you think about working hard so that one day you could buy one?"
And
He
you
goes,
get your little brother to be the pilot
yeah. Send them both up.
while you're testing it.
Oh, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, look, elections looking exciting, submissions looking exciting. We've got plenty of events coming up. We're at university, which we talked about last time. Looking at doing universities across the whole country,
Yep.
potentially. So
Yep.
that'll be really cool. And bringing in a few surprise guests there, potentially.
Cool.
But yeah, look,
Don't want to reveal too much right now.
don't want to reveal too much, you know. Not that I don't actually know how many people listen this far into the pod.
I do. I listen to the whole thing.
Do you actually?
I do.
Yeah, me too.
Just review.
You're a legend.
You know.
Slow, medium, fast. Where are we today, mate? Or
Well,
any
look,
final words? Anyone got any final words? Or?
Be true to yourself. No.
Love your wives. Do you want to tell them to?
No.
No.
Oh, can I just say? Shout out to Darren Ingram. Darren runs a podcast as well called Impact Coach NZ. He came up to me at church, and he listens to the podcast.
Oh, legend.
And he has an amazing business. He's actually former Air Force.
Yeah.
He's operated in all sorts of areas, including
That's
Antarctica.
sick. That's so sick.
So pretty awesome.
That's
guy.
cool.
But he's an impact coach, and he helps people with a number of things: life coaching, therapy. He does breath work. So I was listening to a podcast editor on breath work. Anyway, Darren, really appreciate you listening. You're the best. Arian, appreciate you listening. You're the best. Roll the slow,
Thank
medium,
you.
fast, whatever you want.
Well, look, I like to do variety. Look, I always say, love one another. So continue to do that. Thank you all for listening. Stay in touch. Stay in tune. We will see you next week on Thursday or Friday, whenever we post this. When do we post this? Do we have a schedule?
Fridays.
Fridays. Well, we'll see you next Friday with more news,
With more news.
more exciting things.
Wonderful. Hey, great job, mate.
That'll pass.
That was a good one.